Hi everybody, welcome to Christian Homestead. My name is Jared. In this video, I want to ask for help for Troy's widow and children that he left behind. And then we're going to talk about the Aurora potentially being visible tonight. So if you haven't seen it the last 3 times, tonight might be your chance. Okay, so this is the video that his wife Andrea and son Nicholas posted on his channel to announce that Troy had passed away. If you haven't seen it, I'll put a link for it in the description box below. But as with any passing, especially when you have a mother and father supporting a family, there's going to be a financial toll. And so up until this point, I've been recommending going to his channel. And I know that I'm pretty sure with every one of his videos, he's had the links for his PayPal and Venmo and stuff like that you can donate to. But it looks like there is a GoFundMe that's been set up. And so I just want to read this really quick. Love and support for the Abels family. Okay, my name is Janessa, and we are raising funds for a dear family who has just experienced the heartbreaking loss of their husband and father, Troy Abels. Troy passed away last week, and his family is in need of our support during this incredibly difficult time. We are hoping to raise money to help cover funeral expenses and to give the family the space and time they need to grieve without additional financial stress. Yeah, you guys, this life is rough. And unfortunately, we live in a world where we have to worry about money, even when a loved one dies. And just let's try and ease this burden. I feel like no one should have to worry about money after their spouse passes away, after a parent passes away, child. But that's just how it is. That's mortality. But we can do something about it. All right, continuing. This loss was completely unexpected, and Andrea and Troy's children could truly use all the love and help we can provide. Any donation, no matter the amount, will make a difference. If you're unable to donate, please consider sharing this page so others may help. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. So let's try and make their lives a little bit less turbulent. If you can, I'll put a link for this in the description box below. I also have this on my community or under my community posts. So here's the link right here. So if you can, please do that, and please have them in your prayers. Okay, so let's talk about the Aurora tonight. I got a text from my friend Mindy with Temples of Jesus, and she has now put out the video that she said she was going to put out. So if you haven't seen it, make sure to check that out and subscribe. But she is just really, really on top of things and is always sending me really good information, including this. She sent me this article. This is space.com. Sun erupts with powerful X-class flare as huge CME races toward Earth. Impact possible within 24 hours. Okay, so this is kind of like an earlier article that was written. The sun sure has woken up this week, unleashing a powerful X-class solar flare along with a fast Earth-directed coronal mass ejection, or CME, which is currently forecast to hit Earth within the next 24 hours. Now, this article, again, this seems to have been like an earlier article, said that it was going to produce potentially a strong G3 or even severe G4 geomagnetic storm. And then it said the northern lights might be visible as far south as North Carolina Northern California and Alabama. Now, if you're farther south, don't click out of this yet, because I think that there's potential that you may see it too, just like the other times. You have these other 3 times. You had the 2 that were in 2024, and then you had the one that was on November 11th of 2025. And all 50 states saw those events. And I feel like this could be another one. I really do. It is solar maximum. I think that's why these are happening. But I do think that these are signs of the times. We'll talk about that more in a minute. And then I got this email from Jess Engel. NOAA just issued a severe geomagnetic storm G4 starting possibly tonight and tomorrow. Thought you would like the heads up. And then just provided this graphic. I guess it's from NOAA or maybe some local news station. So you can see you have like these two sections. If you're in the red, then you should be able to see it with the naked eye. Thankfully for me, that includes the Kansas City area. And then it looks like it also includes Salt Lake. Okay. And possibly, I don't know how far south Denver is. I think Denver is like right about here. I don't know why I'm talking about Denver. Wichita, where I used to live, or like I used to live south in Wichita. This area in this like darker red or kind of faded red color, you should be able to see it photographically, meaning you use your smartphone and then put it on night mode or have it on long exposure. And then you take a picture of the sky facing north, and then it may show up for you that time or in that way. Now, again, if you're in this gray area, I would still look, because in the past, you would get forecasts that would look like this, but then it ended up going all the way south to Florida, Texas, and then into Mexico. Okay. I feel like the reason why this is happening is not just because we're at solar maximum, but also because the Lord is giving us multiple opportunities to be warned, to see signs and wonders in the heaven. And so, it's one thing to see it on social media. Everybody posts it, but try and see it yourself. If you missed it, you're getting another chance potentially. The last time that there was a forecast like this, I think it was early this year, and I did a video saying, look up. And I don't know about you, but I didn't see it here in Missouri. But I tend to think that it's going to happen again. And what they're putting out today is looking better than that last time. So I would really get out there and see if you can see it. Here's another article. This is also space.com. This was published only 2 hours ago at the time that I'm recording this. Northern lights may be visible in 24 states tonight as massive CME races toward Earth. NOAA Space Center forecasters have issued a G4 severe geomagnetic storm watch for tonight, when the main bulk of the CME is expected to hit. So in that first article sent by Mindy, they were saying, maybe G3, maybe G4. It looks like they're planning on a G4. That's what I take from this. The CME was launched yesterday, January 18th. I have not analyze that date to see if there's anything significant to that. I'll probably have to do that after this video, and I'll report back if I find anything. The one that happened on the night of November 11th and the morning of November 12th, that was definitely a significant date. You remember that? That was the exact midway point between the two death dates of President Nelson and President Holland. On either side, so if you take November 11th and go toward President Nelson's passing away on September 27th, it's 45 days. If you go from November 12th until December 27th, when President Holland passed away, that's 45 days. So this event last time, it straddled those 2 days, the 11th and the 12th, and it took place at the exact halfway point. And I was able to capture these photos at the temple lot. I hope to be able to get more photos like this tonight. Maybe I'll go to the Kansas City temple. I'm not sure. I got some pictures on the night of the 12th because it happened again, but it wasn't as vibrant. I tried to get pictures at Far West, but that didn't really work out. But if I were you, I would try and get some good pictures at your local temple or just significant sites, landmarks, because you may not get another chance to do so. All right, but back to the article. Here's the list of states. I'm not going to read all these. You can pause and read it, or you can go to the link. The link is in the description box below for this article. Here's Missouri right here. It doesn't say Utah, but we're going to look at another map in just a minute. It says, but remember, auroras can be very fickle. Yeah, that's true. The list is based on current forecast data at the time of publication, but if conditions strengthen, northern lights could reach much further south than expected. And that is exactly what happened those other times. That's what happened those other times. So I'm telling you, be on the lookout if you're in Arizona, Texas, Florida. Equally, if conditions don't align, we could end up twiddling our thumbs with no auroras at all. Yeah, and that's what happened last time. Like I said, I think it was January that they put out a promising forecast, but then I didn't see anything. And it doesn't seem like any of you did either, because I didn't get any emails at that time. Here's the window of time it looks like that we're looking at. So it seems like the peak right here, severe G4, is going to be from 1 a.m. Until 4 a.m. That's Eastern. Central, midnight. Mountain, it would be 11 p.m. And Pacific, it would be 10 p.m. And then for the next few hours after that. So if you're wanting to see this, it may be a late night, but it will be worth it. So again, thank you, Jess, for sending this graphic. I wanted to verify and see if anybody else was showing that, because I usually use this website. This is the University of Alaska Fairbanks Geophysical Institute website, and they have this Aurora like forecast thing. I don't think that they've updated it yet. Normally for events like this, it would be red up here, and the KP index would be something like 6, 7, 8, around that range. So I don't know if they just haven't had time to process the information or if this is what it is, but I came across this too. This is WRAL News. It's like a local news station in North Carolina, and they basically confirm that same map. So in this case, here you have North Carolina down here, and it is basically the same forecast. It says, based on previous experience, however, a G4 storm usually leads to the aurora being seen in North Carolina. So that's pretty promising. Okay, now I want to share some spiritual thoughts about this. I found something new, a new quote that I'm going to share at the end, and I just want to share these scriptures and other quotes because whenever things like this happen, it makes me think of this. So this is 3rd Nephi chapter 1, verses 4 through 6. And it came to pass that in the commencement of the 92nd year, behold, the prophecies of the prophets began to be fulfilled more fully. There began to be greater signs and greater miracles wrought among the people. Now, in this video, we're focusing on the aurora and how we've been seeing it pretty frequently. I had never seen it in my life until 2024. When I saw it that first time, I didn't think that I would ever see it again, but it's happened 2 more times. And the last time I saw it was at the temple lot. So I feel like signs in the heavens, I feel like that's being fulfilled more and more fully. But then there's everything else going on in the world that I try and cover on this channel. So just think about it. I think that we're in this time. But there were some who began to say that the time was past for the words to be fulfilled, which were spoken by Samuel the Lamanite. And they began to rejoice over their brethren, saying, behold, the time is past, and the words of Samuel are not fulfilled. Therefore, your joy and your faith concerning this thing hath been vain. We all have these people in our lives. They're on YouTube, even members of the church that seem to rejoice in the second coming not being soon, or discounting signs and things that we're witnessing. Just don't listen to those voices. That's the lesson that's being taught here. Do not listen to them. Do not entertain them. Feel the Spirit and witness these things that are actually happening with your own eyes and hear them with your own ears. You don't need their commentary. And then in the next chapter, verses 1 and 2, and it came to pass that thus passed away the 95th year also, and the people began to forget those signs and wonders which they had heard, and began to be less and less astonished at a sign or wonder from heaven, insomuch that they began to be hard in their hearts and blind in their minds, and began to disbelieve all which they had heard and seen. So, another lesson: don't let this happen to you. I feel like the first time this Aurora event took place back in May of 2024, everybody was astonished. I don't know about your Facebook feed and Instagram feed, but mine was just full of pictures of the Aurora. Everybody was taking pictures of the Aurora. Everyone was losing their minds. There were funny memes about it. But then the next time it happened, not so much. And then this third time, it actually kind of picked up a little bit, but still not as much as the first time it happened. Don't let yourself become numb just because these signs and prophecies and the craziness start to become normal because they're happening so frequently. Look at the big picture. Think about your life and what you have witnessed and how these times that we're living in are not normal, even though these things have started to become normal, it seems like. Verse 2, imagining up some vain thing in their hearts that it was wrought by men or by the power of the devil to lead away and deceive the hearts of the people. And thus did Satan gain possession of the hearts of the people again, insomuch that he did blind their eyes and lead them away to believe that the doctrine of Christ was a foolish and vain thing. Yeah, there are people that do that, even people in the church that get upset when you talk about signs of the times, observations, unusual things happening in the world. And they would have you believe that you're doing something wrong. I've come across that a few times in the comments section where people seem to be upset, disturbed that you're paying attention to the world. This is something that Joseph Fielding Smith experienced. Whenever we read that quote where he talked about hearing Wilford Woodruff talking about the angels of destruction being released at the dedication of the Salt Lake Temple, he decided to do something similar to what I'm doing as far as like trying to track things on his own. And he, from his observations, calamities and destructions had been increasing over the period of time that he was trying to observe and chronicle these things. And he went and talked to his neighbor, and he noticed the same thing, that his neighbor seemed to get upset and just callously ignored what he had found. And then while we're here in 3rd Nephi, I just want to point this out again. So one of the last things that's noted in the history of the Nephites before Christ came is this. Or before the destruction came. 3rd Nephi chapter 7, verse 26. And there were many in the commencement of this year that were baptized unto repentance, and thus the more part of the year did pass away. Okay, I'm starting to think that that's more significant than what we realize. I feel like I've glossed over this last verse a million times, like, oh, okay, good, no, that's good. No, I think that there's a parallel because you know that the church has been talking about how there's this record-breaking number of new converts over the last 12 months. Or, well, I have to go back and check, but at least I know that they were saying from May of 2024 to May of 2025, that 12-month period had the largest number of convert baptisms in all of church history. And then I think that trend has continued. I think we read something that said that that's basically still the case throughout 2025. But we might be in this period. When you go to the next chapter, it talks about, well, let's see, in verse 3, and the people began to look with great earnestness for the sign which had been given by the prophet Samuel, the Lamanite, yea, for the time that there should be a darkness for the space of 3 days over the face of the land. And there began to be great doubtings and disputations among the people, notwithstanding so many signs had been given. So many signs had been given. So many signs had been given. And it came to pass in the 34th year, in the first month, on the 4th day of the month, there arose a great storm, such an one as never had been known in all the land. And then came the destruction. So that's what happened back then, before Christ's first coming. Let's not let this happen to us at his second coming. In this talk by Elder Christoffel Golden of the 70, called Preparing for the Second Coming of Christ, I like this first paragraph. As recorded in the Book of Mormon 6 years before the birth of Jesus Christ, Samuel, a righteous Lamanite, prophesied to a Nephite people who by then had become mostly apostate, of the signs that would accompany our Savior's birth. Tragically, most Nephites rejected those signs because it was not reasonable that such a being as Christ should come. You guys, there are people that still have that attitude today, even members of the church, who do not think that it's reasonable that there would be a second coming. There was a recent unfortunate video that was made that by members of the church, where they were talking about how they were questioning whether the second coming was going to be literal or just figurative, which shocked me. It just absolutely shocked me. It's so clear if you just listen to the words of President Nelson, and I'm sure we'll hear more of it from President Oaks, but just any prophet or apostle or general authority or general officer of the church, if you pay attention to General Conference, it should be abundantly clear that it's literal. But there are people that, I don't know, there's different reasons. We're all on a separate path and we're all growing at different rates, and we're on, I understand that. We have people that are new to the church, so there's all sorts of circumstances, but I think there are members of the church that do not think it's reasonable that there's going to be an actual literal second coming, along with destruction, along with the destruction of the wicked and changes to the earth and everything else that's going to happen. So, yeah, if you don't think that that's going to happen, then you'd probably tend to discard the signs of the times. I want to touch on this really quick. This is on my quotes A through Z spreadsheet, row 116 for compression of events. This is Elder Neil A. Maxwell of the Quorum of the 12, April 1992 General Conference, in a talk called My Servant Joseph. Now, my brethren, these are your days in the history of the church. Mark well what kind of days they will be. Days when, with special visibility, the Lord will make bare his holy arm in the eyes of all the nations. God will also hasten his work. He will also shorten the last days for the elect's sake. Hence, there will be a compression of events. Now, I feel like this has already happened as far as the Aurora goes, like as far as just that being a sign in the heavens. We've had it 3 times, and I've never seen it my entire life. And I don't remember anyone ever talking about seeing the Aurora in Utah, where I grew up, or in Arizona or Texas. I'm sure that it has happened before, but now that we have, at the very least, now that we have smartphones, it's easier to capture it. And that by itself makes it so that you can receive that message from the Lord, to receive the sign and know this is a sign in the heavens. And this is what's supposed to happen in the lead up to the second coming. So 3 times within the last couple of years, the Aurora has been seen much further south than is typical. Feels like a compression of events. Okay, lastly, this is going to shift gears a little bit. I just wanted to see if I could find any other quotes to go along with this video. And I found a new one. So we're looking, this is the Scripture Citation Index website. And this is a General Conference talk by Elder John Longden, assistant to the Council of the 12 Apostles, which is a position that doesn't exist anymore. This is the April 1964 General Conference. The name of the talk, The Second Coming of Christ. And toward the end here, now this has to do with signs, because What I'm about to read, I've added it to my spreadsheet called Quotes, Common Misconceptions. The topic is signs. The misconception, it's only a sign if it's supernatural or unexplainable. There's people that will set these limits and these rules to signs just seemingly out of thin air, um, so that they can dismiss it. If it's like, well, that happens all the time, or, well, that's not a sign because it's not magic. It doesn't have to be magic. It doesn't have to be magic. Okay, so this is what Elder John Longden said. As we review the happenings of the past few years, we realize the most dreadful wars of all time have been fought in this dispensation, and the end is not yet. There are uprisings in many, many countries today. Now think of this. This is the 1960s. Think about what's going on right now in Iran. Think about what's going on with Venezuela, Greenland, China and Taiwan, Israel, Hamas, Hezbollah, Russia, Ukraine. Let's see, what else has been going on? Somaliland. I don't know. There's just like a ton of things. Like, I don't need to tell you. Syria. There's stuff. Oh my gosh. This is back in the 1960s. We have signs in the heavens and in the earth. Have they become so common we fail to recognize them? Unfortunately, I think the answer is yes. And what's crazy is that things have increased dramatically since the 1960s. In recent years around the world, we have had some of the most destructive earthquakes of history. Distress in and among nations is increasing daily. Will anyone say that men's hearts are not failing them? I should have highlighted that. Because he said that, I've added it to this spreadsheet. This is one that I'm going to take much more seriously this year. It's called Quotes, Prophecy Fulfillment Tracker. So I have the scriptures to the left. It's not a comprehensive list of all the different prophecies, but I'm going to work on it. And this whole thing about men's hearts failing them, it's found in a couple places in the scriptures. The one other place that I can think of is in the book of Luke, but I just have this one pulled up. Doctrine and Covenants 91. In all things shall be in commotion, and surely men's hearts shall fail them, for fear shall come upon all people. So if you think that that's something that still has to happen, it doesn't seem so. Not according to Elder John Longden, but it's even more clear from, at the time, Elder Dallin H. Oaks in his talk called Preparation for the Second Coming in the April 2004 General Conference, where he said, "We are living in the prophesied time, when peace shall be taken from the earth, and when all things shall be in commotion, and men's hearts shall fail them." So I have that marked as fulfilled. Now we have two that have, and there's actually more. I need to add the other quotes to this spreadsheet. I have more, including from President Nelson. I don't know if I'm going to put it down as literal or not literal, because in one sense, it's definitely not literal. It has a reference to fear. It's not necessarily your heart stopping and not working, having a cardiac arrest. It's simply on the one side, it's fear, but then on the other side, because of additional stress and fear and things like that, there could be people who are literally having heart attacks or some kind of complication with their hearts and then dying. So, I don't know what to put for that. What I said, literal or not? No, I think I'm gonna put both. That's what I should do. I'll put both, because I think it works both ways. Okay, back to the quote. Today, millions of people sit and tremble in fear of what may happen. The wickedness of the world increases. Nations are preparing more earnestly than ever for the final great struggle. Among the wonderful signs which would be given to indicate the near approach of his advent, there would not only be wars, but also earthquakes in diverse places, distress among the nations, elements in commotion in tornadoes and hurricanes, the sea heaving itself beyond its bounds. Sorry, I just laugh because of all this stuff that we've covered on this channel, especially everything that's happened since 2004. I feel like 2004, when President Oaks gave that talk, I feel like that was some kind of hinge point, some kind of turning point, some kind of new phase. Because virtually all the record-breaking wildfires that I've been recording, virtually all of them are from 2004 until now. And it's all the like countries and all the states that are prone to like having big wildfires. Okay. Anyway, there would be signs in the heavens as well as in the earth of unusual proportions. To impress his disciples that these events would surely come, the Savior said, "Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only." Today, weapons are being made more dreadful than ever known before, and fear enters into the hearts of all people. Now, this is kind of interesting because since the 60s, there have been even more weapons that have been developed. One of the big ones nowadays, well, there's kind of two that come to mind. One is drones. That is suddenly a big part of warfare, which I feel like they really entered the war fighting space with the Ukraine war. I'm sure that they've been used before that time, but I feel like one of the unique characteristics of the Ukraine war is the use the use of drones, like lots of drones. So drones, and then also a relatively recent development is hypersonic missiles. I don't know when the first time was that I heard that term, but I don't think that I heard it before 10 years ago. It's relatively recent. Okay. Is it so that we are able to see that the sky is red in the morning or in the evening, and yet fail to see the signs in the heavens or in the earth? Surely there will be signs among the heavenly bodies before the end shall come. The earth will reel, the sun be darkened, the moon not give its light. Now look at this. Look at these two yellow highlights. The first one is the airplane flying in the skies from one country to another a sign. The heavens are filled with them, and people are fulfilling the prophecy of Isaiah 60, verse 8. Who are these that fly as a cloud and as the doves to their windows? That's really interesting. You know what? I didn't even pay attention to this when I read it the first time. I'm going to have to add this to this prophecy fulfillment spreadsheet. Dang it. I'll have to do that after I'm done recording. I'll highlight it in red so I remember. So, you guys, does it have to be supernatural and magical, unexplainable to be a sign? People will roll their eyes and be like, well, we know we're the ones that make airplanes, and this isn't a sign. It's just technology developed. It doesn't mean that something isn't being communicated. What's being communicated is that the Lord is hastening his work. We have other quotes that talk about the fact that technology has dramatically taken off, no pun intended, since the time of Joseph Smith, in that all this technology that we have now is for this last dispensation and for the hastening of the Lord's work to be able to access the farthest reaches of the earth and spread the gospel. So yeah, it's a sign. It communicates to me that the Lord is giving us intelligence and helping us to develop quicker in preparation for the second coming. Message delivered, message received. Okay, the next one. Moreover, are not the missiles which are shot into the outer space and which revolve around the earth signs? All right, so he's talking about airplanes, missiles. We were just talking about hypersonic missiles and in drones. Will anyone say that these do not, in a large measure, come under the prediction made by the Lord on the Mount of Olives almost 2,000 years ago? Surely there are signs in the heavens, and there will yet come other signs, as the Lord has promised. All right, so I've added this to my quotes, common misconceptions spreadsheet. It's only a sign if it's supernatural and explainable. I have a similar quote from President Joseph Fielding Smith where he talks about airships, let's see, radio, railroad trains, automobiles, submarines, satellites. Okay. And then I also added a new row to quotes A through Z called signs in the heavens, technology. It's currently row 564. It's part of a series of other topics: signs in the heavens, the great meteor shower of 1833, signs in the heavens, sign of the Son of Man, signs in the heavens, 7 golden lamps. And I know that there's more that I need to add, but this is a long-term project. And then I have it on the prophecy fulfillment spreadsheet. All right, so one more time, please think about Troy, his family that he's left behind, and their financial needs. If you can support them, please do. Pray for them and donate on GoFundMe. The link is in the description box below. I'll talk to you guys later.